My name is Scott Currin. I am the president of Air Vision LLC. I am a certified Part 107 pilot. And today we're going to discuss ways that you can improve your flying skills. There's many different ways that you can improve your flying skills, and we're just going to touch on a few of those that I think are important. Um, One of the first ones is know your unmanned aerial system, or UAS. This involves watching instructional videos of your platform to get familiar with the do's and don'ts of your platform. Also, understand the parts and accessories that are approved for your UAS and how they affect when you attach it to your UAS. Understand the wind limitations to your unmanned aerial system, because flying in different wind conditions cause the craft to react in different ways. Know how the flight time is affected by these wind conditions. Stronger wind conditions are going to lower your flight time dramatically. The spec rating of your UAS. What I mean by this is your platform IP rated where it is somewhat or waterproof and dust resistance, or it is not. Can it be flown in a misty rain, actual rain or downpour, fog, snow, things like that? Um, and always keep your firmware up to date. There's a reason for the firmware updates. There's a bug or something that was picked up, and the firmware is there to correct these bugs. So always keep your firmware up to date is a very important thing. It's highly important. And we'll go on after you know your UAS and you want to get into flying. These are just some couple things that you can practice and train on. Different ways to gain pilot or stick time and muscle memory, because flying is all about muscle memory. What's going to happen to this aircraft when I push up on the left stick or push right on the right stick? What's going to happen? Some things to practice or train on is point of interest. Practice and keeping that camera focused on one object, and put this involves putting inputs into both sticks while trying to keep that camera focused on the object, the interest, or whatever it may be. Uh, while doing this in an open area, I suggest in a really open area, practice in IATI mode if you're flying DJI equipment, or INS mode if you're flying the microdrone. This is no GPS. This is going to cause the craft to drift or sway in the direction it was going, plus in the direction the wind is blowing. So if you got a direct wind blowing from your west and you're traveling north and you let go of the sticks and it's in ATI mode, most people think, oh, it'll sit there and just hover. Well, it will not. It's going to drift with that momentum of going forward plus the west wind. So it's going to drift on you. So practice putting sticks in to compensate for that drift, and manually get that craft to hover. This brings me to my next point. Practice creating and executing automated missions. Okay, when you're running an automated mission, you want to practice creating not just square missions, but polygons and stuff like that. And during these missions, realize it brings me back to the point above, that if you're running these missions and you lose GPS, the aircraft is going to resort back into ATI mode. And believe it or not, most of your crashes that you see that are people are running automated missions lose GPS. Magnetic interference, something like that. Something causes the GPS to fail, and the aircraft resorts back in the ATI mode, where then the pilot's looking at his craft trying to, he realizes it's an ATI mode. Well, he thinks it's sitting there hovering, but really it still has that forward momentum and the wind blowing it. So he doesn't realize, and lo and behold, what's there? A tree. Carbon fiber's best friend. So trees love carbon fiber. Trees will move and take your aircraft out. So just be aware that when you're flying and you lose GPS, that it resorts into that ATI mode, and practice that ATI mode. So practice those missions. Practice on different air platforms. Don't just be brand specific. Try different brands and different platforms, because yeah, they all fly the same in mode 2, but they react different once you get them in the air. Different size platforms fly differently than other aircrafts, and they handle the wind a lot different. Brings me to the practice in different wind conditions. Now, I'm not saying go out and maximize the wind resistance on your aircraft. I'm saying if you usually fly 90% of your flights take place in a 5 mile an hour wind, try one day to fly in a 10 mile an hour wind, just to see how it affects your aircraft. So you're prepared on how the craft functions. Practice with other pilots in the industry. A good way to learn things that do work and don't work. Practice situational training. What I mean by this is, don't practice just going up and running figure eights or circles or squares in the air. Practice putting something out that is missing. If you're emergency management and you're running search and rescue missions, practice with a thermal dummy. Go hide this thermal dummy in the woods, and then add stress to your guys during training. Say, hey, look, Johnny's out there. He's got 15 minutes of life left. It'll take us 2 minutes to fly to him. We got to land when we got 5 minutes of battery left. So that leaves us this amount of time to find Johnny. So let's go up, get them to take the craft out, and add that stress, because you believe it or not, you put them in these situations, and when the aircraft is most needed and they start fumbling props or drop a camera, or they just can't get everything, the pieces correctly. And let's face it, during a search and rescue mission, time is of essence, and it's very critical to get up in the air as quick as possible, but as safely as possible as well. So practice flying FPV. There's some little racers out there. There's good little to my next point, with this flying FPV with simulators. There's a lot of FPV simulators that fly the same as you would fly these regular UASs that we use for commercial purposes, but the stick functions are the same. And I could tell you, you go out and put a set of goggles on and you fly FPV, and then you go out and fly a platform that has GPS in it, you're going to be a lot better at the sticks, a lot more smooth, a lot smoother control, a lot smoother transitions, and you're able to focus more and fly a lot safer. So just practice on these simulators. I use a couple of, there's wings for fixed wing simulation. There is liftoff for FPV racing and FPV flying. DJI has a free simulator. If you own DJI product and you have a Mavic remote, you have a Sendence remote, a Phantom remote, you can hook it into the simulator and download it on your laptop and fly these aircrafts. Again, you're learning muscle memory. Flying's all about muscle memory. Sooner or later, you'll be able to know what happens, and you're comfortable with just having your hands on the controller. Other than that, you got to be, after you get to flying and everything, and you learn what works for you and what don't work for you, and you're out, and just don't be afraid to communicate. Get into UAS forums, express, your feelings on your craft, find out what works, what other people feel about the aircraft, and things like that. But be very wary what you read online. Not everything you read online is the correct. So just be open and take it, just take it as you see it, and just, read other forums and kind of compare. Sign up for conferences and expos is a great way to network with other people. Meet other people, learn about new technology, what might make your job easier and safer. You learn a lot at these conferences and expos, and you meet a lot of other folks. So share your flying experiences with other UAS pilots, because at the end of the day, what works for me might not work for you, and what works for them might work better for you. And so we get on these same pages of what works and what don't work. So don't be afraid to express your knowledge to other guys that are willing to listen, and ask for guidance. Ask hey, am I doing this the right way, or should I be doing this a little bit differently, or things like that. It works a lot. And organize fly-ins, get the community out, get them with their hands on, get them to put and fly, and everybody. So all of these things help improve your flying skills and make you better at it, and makes the UAS community stronger as a whole. So there's a few things that I would say would improve your flying skills. Yes, there's a lot more, and the more you practice, the better you are. Like with anything, you didn't start off riding a bike without the training wheels. So, but sooner or later, you got comfortable enough and you took off the training wheels. So, practice makes perfect. And the one thing I could say, if you're in the air, just please fly safe, fly smart, and have fun.